Order a meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Licensing Commissioners for the town of North Andover, Monday, October 19th. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Before we move into approval of minutes, I just want to make note that Town Manager Andrew Mailer is running a couple minutes late, should be here any moment. Now we can move into approval of minutes.
Madam Chair, I motion that we approve the minutes from our prior meeting dated September 28th, 2015.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just want to make sure. Madam Chair, I motion that we approve the minutes from our October 7th meeting as printed.
Second? I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving to adjourn. We have the most important part of the night coming up next, which would be our recognition of Officer Michael Gilligan. Chief, if you'd like to come up and give us a little rundown of why we're honoring Mike Gilligan.
Thank you. As you know, Mike Gilligan has been on quite a while, and he's been officer of the year several times, and he seems to, anytime he gets involved with something, he does a great job. But this particular night, it was June 6th, and there was a report of a person possibly jumping off of the double-decker bridge. And we looked up there, we couldn't find much, originally our officers and with Lawrence and that and the state police. But someone grabbed Mike and a state trooper, Trooper Flanagan, and told him it looks like they just saw someone jump, and they're in the river now, in the middle of the river. So the Officer Gilligan and the Trooper Flanagan went right out there, and he had some problem with his flotation device, but Mike went right behind him with his flotation device, and the woman that jumped, she was suicidal, and the two of them did get her. She was screaming. She wanted help at that point, and they got her back to shore, and she wasn't bruised too much. She did have some broken bones, but she wasn't that bad. But for what they did going in, it was in the middle of the river. It was in June. It was kind of the water was very much rushing. So, I congratulate him. We just came back from the State House the other day, and he was honored by the colonel and the media and the speaker, and we're very, very proud of Michael. So I present Michael Gilligan.
This is a very special honor for me, since Michael and I have been friends for well over 30 years now. Well over 30 years now. So to be able to present this is very special to me. This is a certificate of commendation for Officer Michael Gilligan for your actions on June 6, 2015, when you swam into the Merrimack River and rescued a woman who was unable to swim to shore. Were it not for your immediate actions, the outcome would have been far worse. The North Andover Board of Selectmen commend you for your professionalism, knowledge, and willingness to assist people in distress. You are a credit to yourself, the North Andover Police Department, and the whole community. Thank you on behalf of the town of North Andover, and I know your father is incredibly proud.
Thank you guys very much. The fact that you can read that without glasses.
Yeah, well, I have context.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to thank the board very much for this. It's truly an honor. It really is.
Thank you for being there and doing that.
Okay.
And for all you do.
Night, guys.
Now what are we looking at?
I know, now there's, well, Joyce.
I couldn't see her. She was behind the podium. I couldn't see her.
And she is next.
That's a very tough act to follow. He's truly an outstanding
He is.
police officer and human being, so we're very fortunate. I'm here to just offer some mundane information about upcoming elections. First of all, we have no elections in 2015 left, so there is nothing. People may see things about city elections and think we have something. We have nothing. And also, I outlined a brief relocation of our office. If that happens, we will try to do a huge outreach to the community to let them know where we are and how we can help them, where it is a 4-election year. It will start with the March 1st, 2006 presidential primary. Very early, weather issues can come up. What we are doing is doing a concerted effort, even when we send the census out, to include an absentee ballot application for people so that they can return that with their census form as well if they want absentee ballots for the entire year. Primaries are difficult because sometimes people don't know what's available or who's there, so they can notify our office at any time if they're unenrolled voters what ballot they would choose to have. And then also, starting the first week in November, I will have packets available for the town election, which is the 29th of March, so that we'll have the forms out there, and this is our 1-seat year that we have 1 selectman seat open, 1 school committee, and Housing Authority has 1 5-year term seat available. And then we move on to town meeting, which we'll be looking at citizen petitions. That's outlined in the budget calendar, so that they must be submitted to our office no later than 4:30 on March 7th. Huge amount of help is available if somebody wishes to put an article on town meeting warrant. Town manager's office is very helpful, or we will help in any way we can with that. And then we move on to the state primary election in September. Right now, the date has been set for the 20th of September, but we know it's going to move. Legislature has not yet decided on whether they're going to do the Tuesday following Labor Day, which has complications for school issues, or do it the following week. But it has to be moved up from the September 20th date, so we'll keep everybody informed about that.
Up, do you think it'll go further into September? It won't go in August?
Can't. It has to be earlier than
so it'll have to go in August.
earlier than the 20th because of the necessity of getting out overseas and absentee ballot applications. So it gives you a very tight turnaround between then and the November election, so that they really need that extra time because there's a 45-day limit in order to get the election processed. If there's no recounts, to get everything certified so that they can start, the state Secretary of State's office can start printing the ballots for the November election. Because especially now we'll have early voting ballots, which we don't have the complete regulations for, so we'll have absentee voting and early voting. So we're not quite sure how, that process is going to go forward, but whatever it is, we will manage it. Also, pre-registration of 16-year-olds will begin in August so that young people can register to vote, and it's held in the state system until that person turns 18 years of age, and they'll automatically be registered to vote. So that's a good thing too. Still, a lot of times we have young people in the high school, and that's a good opportunity before they go off to make sure that their voter registration will happen automatically when they turn 18. Also, we'll be looking to do a huge education program. We have a lot of students that will be going away to college in the fall, and to make sure that we have absentee ballot requests available for them to be sent out to wherever they are located for the November election. It's a very major milestone in a lot of young people's lives to be able to vote for the president for the first time. So, there's a huge amount of interest on their part, and so we try to get the word out early. As soon as you have your address, or if they have an email address, that's a very good way for us to communicate with any kind of voter. But especially if there's ballot issues or whatever, it's a good way for us to keep in contact with, with our students who are away, or our overseas voters. That's usually how we process ballots now. The military and overseas voters, we actually send email ballots to them. It's a very efficient way of doing it. We know that they've got it, and they also know the fact that their vote has been processed, and that's worked out quite well, rather than, I hate to say the old days, that we would try to send mail to the other side of the universe, and it just never would get there, or the cost involved too. It would be $30 or $40 to try to get something to a foreign country and then never be sure that you get it back. So the email system of sending the ballots works out quite well. Something new also will be post-election audits. They'll be done randomly. This is part of the legislation that was passed so that the random picking of towns or cities and precincts that will have to be hand counted and compared to whatever we have for electronic totals and what we've certified. So that's something that's brand new as well. And I just have to thank Chris McClure, our IT director, who has been extraordinary in setting up a portal for us to be able to look up from our extracts, to be able to go in there and actually look up voting information. So we at the polls will be able to have it right there in an electronic form, and also deleted voters. That's a big issue, that when you have state elections, that if you can go in there, put somebody's name in and see when they were deleted and what the address was, and if they provide us ID. But he's been extraordinary, with all the assistance and help of giving us the technology, also going back to our 11/17 voting sheets and things like that. So I just have to thank him. Any little thing we ask is done, and that's a huge, huge help to us, especially with trying to keep our information updated. Also, I'll be probably coming back to you looking for a 6 a.m. opening time vote for the November election. The school calendar hasn't been approved yet, but once I have that approval and know that we're going to have a curriculum day, which I don't anticipate a problem with, I'll ask you for a vote to open the polls at 6 a.m. for the November election. And plus, wherever, if we relocate, that location would have to be a designated polling place too, or because we already have a vote, so that if we had some type of evacuation or emergency, that we are authorized to go to other locations.
Like
So
the year with the gym?
yes, right. And we just thank everybody for their participation, especially you as elected officials. And also, I have sent a request for legislation to prohibit any activity at a polling location on Election Day without permission from the chief election officer. We tend to have things show up we have a curriculum day, but then we have athletic events that bring in a large number of cars, and nobody knows better than Selectmen Spadili of what we've gone through over the years of trying to have an extra 300 cars for a sporting event, and we're just trying to get voters in and out, by 8 o'clock.
You're absolutely right. We've had a couple of experiences where voters could not get in to vote.
Right.
So the event, though probably, I'm sure, was not done on purpose, obstructed people's right to vote. We can't have that happen. I mean,
Right.
traffic jams.
And if it's a relatively controllable election, as long as we know who's going to be there, what time they're going to be there, we can certainly always give permission. But when you go out and it's 6 o'clock and your entire parking lot is full, we're more than happy to work with what has to be there. But that's a prime voting time for people too. Is coming in if they're trying to come in after work to, look and see a whole line of traffic and think that it's voting related. And usually, we have not had a situation once we get people in the building of having lines, but, traffic.
Yeah. And proper places for handicap and elderly people to park.
Right.
So.
Jeff Coco and I, the emergency management director, are going to be meeting with the superintendent and the police department also to go over logistic plans very early, so that, as I said, sometimes we have a curriculum day, but if the teachers are there, to be sure that we map out very early on exactly how we can optimize people getting in the voting, the polling entrance.
Right, and if it's rainy, having entrances open so that people are not walking far in the rain, again, speaking
Right.
particularly to the elderly and the handicapped.
And we'll also look into the fact, and we've discussed it in the past, of possibly putting some type of ramp that would allow somebody, if they're parking on that side entrance by the field house, to be able to use a small ramp to get in with a walker. You have excellent accessibility but it's a long walk from where the
it's a long
accessible
They really need
spaces
to
are.
be able to go indoors.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
long walk.
And the police have been fantastic about assisting people, to get in the quickest and easiest way possible for them. And, we are going to investigate the possibility of just having something that might allow a little bit easier access on a ramp level rather than the stairs, but.
Oh, good.
but
Good.
Oh, thank you, Joyce. That was A lot of good information. I put us out for a whole year's worth of information. That's excellent.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you very
awesome.
much.
The
Well,
one
it's-
question I had, you answered right away, so I don't even have to
Well,
ask it.
we also appreciate the visibility coming out. As I said, it's an extraordinary year of planning, especially this is a non-incumbent presidential year, and you have no idea of candidate position. So, we anticipate that it'll be busy, and as I said, we're happy to help the voters in any way we can.
Joyce, you had said that there's no state funding that's been made available if we're chosen for an audit. How much would it cost if one of our precincts were chosen?
You probably would have a minimal cost. You'd have to have a police officer there and several people actually counting the ballots. But these are all the mandates that have come through for early voting, and they want additional sites in the post-audit. They're considered unfunded mandates.
How much money do you think it would cost if one of our precincts were selected?
I would say probably $2,500.
In mostly payroll, like overtime for police and people, yeah.
Right. Because if you have the ballots there and you know what precinct, it depends. Right now, we'd just be able to bring them right up in the elevator and do that. But it's a matter of just getting them there and counting them. One precinct audit would not, I would say that would be the maximum amount of, as I said, you have to have secure facility, police officer present, and you might also, I don't know whether you'd need town council. If it was a recount, you'd need town council, but for a simple audit, it's just a matter of making sure that it's visible to the public. It's posted, held in some place that people could come and watch should they choose to, so. And that's assuming if we were, we're not concerned about it. They were going to do automatic audits for all precincts for every election. So this is a little bit better compromise that if you just have to do any precinct, all our ballots are sealed and segregated. So we're not really too concerned about it.
Okay. Thank you, Joyce.
Madam Chairman, it's a good segue into communication. Joyce mentioned the fact that we will be relocating at some point. We're
Yes.
in the process of securing responses for a location to move to. That's likely going to happen early in January. Be out of the building for 9 months is what the current anticipation is. We're aggressively making sure that we stay just on that 9-month schedule. That's the hope. So we'll be back in the building between the primary and the regular election, the main national election in November.
Oh, my.
So our hope is to be back in turn,
Complicated.
which makes it really great.
Matter for town clerk's office.
So we should be able to get in and out of here, in sufficient time to get back for that election, but we'll know more in the next couple of weeks as the responses come back on the,
You put an RFP, what's the close date on that?
it's the end of the month. Yep, so then we'll have to evaluate those and determine what the best solution is, and then we'll pick a specific date for moving out, and we'll communicate that to the board, and then communicate it to the public. We'll be doing what we call robocalls, but basically reverse 911 calls in addition to town's website, the news media. So as soon as we know more about where we're going, we've been doing some notifications, but until we get specific, I don't have any information at this point, but by the next meeting we will.
Okay.
Yep.
I would hope, yeah, if they're closing on the end of the month, right? Our next meeting is November 4th, right?
Correct. We should have a
Wednesday night, just for folks, it's a
Yes, off schedule.
off-schedule night. Wednesday, November 4th. Brian, since you're the only one who would care, because there's nobody else here tonight.
Well, thank you for rescheduling.
Oh, gosh, yes. Okay, next on communication and announcements, we have our job posting and vacancy log that we receive monthly, or actually bi-weekly, from the community for all openings. People can check the town website. Some of our openings are often listed to, be it specific to, like the library consortium or on Monster or what have you. But for the most part, they're always on the website, right?
We'll list them on the website, and then additionally, public safety positions would be different, but because
Well,
they're so
right, of
obvious.
course, it's-
But beyond that, yes.
Got a lot of openings.
Yeah.
A lot in the library.
Library.
Yes.
Library sciences, folks. There's jobs in North Andover.
Remember, if you look at the detail of the log, some of these are openings and some of them are just status relative to previous openings. So, but we do have a tendency to have a fair amount of turnover in openings, yes.
Curbside leaf pickup. Wonderful flyer.
Nice flyer.
That's good.
Yeah, a lot of symbols on that. So leaf pickup, to be clear, and we'll be putting this on again on the town website and providing more information. The week of November 9th, the week of November 16th, and the week of November 30th. So 3 pickup weeks, not including the week of Thanksgiving. So I want to probably go back to DPW and make sure we're clear on that on the flyer. It's those 3 weeks, so the week of November 9th, the week of 11/16, and the week of November 30th, but not the week of Thanksgiving, because obviously we're off schedule on that week and create some confusion with residents. It's important that that material is placed in brown bags whenever possible and put out at curbside during those weeks during regular trash collection.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, would this be also a good opportunity? I know, at least for the last couple of years, we've always got a request from our local landscapers to keep the
Sear,
recycle-
yep.
Sear Center
I'm gonna
open an extra day?
Yes, we're working toward, I forward you some specific separate information about the exact hours for SEER, but we're looking to keep SEER open for the extended hours during the same period, but I'll provide you that information separately. Bruce is currently working on that plan.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we've encouraged him to do exactly what has been the board's interest over the last couple of years.
Yeah, hit that one off.
Moving on to Lake Echigwick Shore cleanup on November 7th.
This will be a big event. In addition to requesting volunteers, we're partnering with Merrimack College on a series of initiatives on the same day under what's called MAC Gives Back. We should have 20 to 40 students. In addition, we had a lot of interest in a lot of different groups here who will participate in this particular event. We're hoping for upwards of 100 residents and 100 individuals involved. And
No swimming allowed.
no swimming.
Swimming.
May not be a good day
Don't let
for
the
it
dogs
anyway.
in either.
But it should, we're really expecting a significant turnout of interested parties to go for this effort.
Yeah, that's
Very
wonderful.
excited about it.
That'd be great.
MAC Gives Back. MAC Gives Back will have 4 different projects around town, of which this will be the centerpiece of them, but there's also some cleanup around some housing authority properties that is in the MAC Give Back initiative. There is some work being done at the senior center with students as well. I'm now forgetting the 4th initiative, but there were, and typically we have a small cadre of students who come in and help clean our police cars with the help of the police department as well. So we've got a number of different initiatives around town. We could have somewhere between 50 and 80 Merrimack students. It's a day of service for the entire campus. And typically hundreds of students, if not more, participate in service. And so we're happy to engage them in finding ways to do things for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for doing that. I know last year there was a little chaos going on because all these students showed up and they had nothing to do, but I think you've really taken care of it and gotten all these initiatives going. So.
In last year's case, there was actually a couple of venues outside of North Andover that had some last-minute cancellations. So we were contacted a little late and asked if we could use some
bodies.
helping hands, and we're always happy to put college students to work whenever possible.
It's great.
It was great.
It's great. And thank you, Merrimack College. Consent items. We have a request from James Doucette to use the streets in North Andover on the 27th Annual Cambridge Sports Union Roller Ski Race on Sunday, November 8th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Good luck on your 27th annual. That's pretty cool.
It's a lot of annual.
Yeah. Request from Rabbi Zalman Borenstein to use the town common for his annual menorah display.
Approval.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Ooh, appointments to the Sustainability Committee.
2 very different people we are submitting to the board. One is a woman named Diana Perkle. She lives over on Dale Street, is college educated, but is, I think, largely confined, largely at home because of a disability. I'm really interested in joining this board, and so we were happy to recommend her appointment. That same evening, we met with a gentleman named James Lally. James actually just moved here this past summer with his wife. They're looking to settle here with their children and family and make North Andover their home, and so he's bringing with himself a strong ethic for giving back to the community, as well as a pretty impressive resume. He's an assistant VP at State Street Corp., holds an MBA, and I think is just as eager to jump into volunteering on our sustainability committee. So,
Both really good candidates. Move approval.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, fantastic. Great. Welcome and thank you. As I say every meeting, we would grind to a screeching halt without the volunteers that keeps this community going. Trick or treat hours. It's easy. It's on a Saturday.
Halloween on Halloween this year.
It's on a Saturday.
It's a 20-minute event.
We're going to blaze a trail.
No debates. No last year either. It was Friday, so woo.
We can set the contingent date.
Phil has been, I'm sure Phil has heard about my Halloween hour debates through the years.
Not the hour, it's the day. Move
The day.
approval, 5:30 to 7:30.
On Halloween.
On Halloween.
No rain date.
You want to discuss
No
Christmas
rain
this
date.
year at all?
Not yet. What about a rain date? No, I'm just
No
kidding. No rain date. I'm just kidding.
Snow day back a couple years
Do
ago.
we have all in, we did have a snow date and it ended up on a better night. All those in favor? Aye. So that is trick or treat hours will be Saturday, October 31st, 5:30 to 7:30 PM.
Should be fun.
Just the way I like it.
Be safe.
Wear bright
Always be
stuff.
fun.
Madam Chair, there's a recommendation by IT Director Chris McClure to surplus certain equipment which no longer has value to the community. I recommend the support of that request.
Do you have a motion?
Madam Chair, move that the Board of Selectmen approve the request of IT Director Chris McClure to surplus IT equipment.
I'll second, and I'd just like to say that none of the Cisco items actually failed, they're just old.
No. Which is a good sign too, right?
Touche is
And they lasted a long
Long time.
Yeah.
They're really old.
That's great. That's great. All those in favor?
Obsolete.
Aye.
Aye. Super. Next up, Columbia Gas, Massachusetts.
These are the requests that go beyond the
Yep.
sort of short-term service and other emergency-related work.
So we have one at 1276 Salem Street for new gas service, 392 Mass Ave for new gas service, and then the full excavation on Waverly Road between Maple and Union. That's to replace the gas mains. That's a big one.
Yes.
And we have guarantees from them that the paving, this will be done in a timely manner before the asphalt companies shut down for the winter and what have you.
They're in reasonable shape in regards to that, in the sense that we typically end work at the end of November. Sometimes we'll extend it to early December. So we have reasonable assurances that we won't be putting plates over roadways for extended periods.
I'd hate to see that through the entire winter.
Yeah, the good thing to do gas to a certain extent is although they're replacing a fair extension of that, they can close it up, seal it, and then it's their cost to have to go back in a traditional way rather than plating it like we would with other utilities.
Okay, all right, great then. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The floor is yours, Mr. Manager.
Yes, the budget policy statement. First of all, for those folks at home who probably don't hear this term often, it could be argued that the budget policy statement is the most significant document we produce on an annual basis. It is creates the framework for upcoming budget season. This is the fiscal 2017 budget policy statement, believe it or not. So here we are in October beginning to talk about fiscal 17, which doesn't begin until July 1 of 2016. The budget policy document will be posted online after the board takes action on it this evening and provided in public locations as well. Provides really two pieces of valuable information. One, it provides the goals of the Board of Selectmen as it relates to major initiatives in the community over the next 12 months, or the 12 months that will begin on July 1 of 2016. So it gives us our marching orders, those things that are important, again, from a 30,000-foot level, allows us to focus, and then tie those goals into an estimate for what we think the budget's going to look like, even though that budget process doesn't begin probably for another 6 to 8 weeks, and isn't for a budget that doesn't begin until July 1. So it also is really the budget kickoff process for us. As you can see, we include estimates, preliminary estimates on what we believe the revenues will be moving forward in fiscal 17. The Revenue Fixed Cost Review Committee will meet formally tomorrow. Their job is to advise myself on what they believe the revenue estimates will be in fiscal 17. Typically, their information comes in a preliminary form produced by the finance director, who sits as a member of that group. And it's certainly common that what Lynn Savage produces is largely what's adopted by the Revenue and Fixed Cost Review Committee. So It's a significant document. Again, it tells us what we should expect going forward, what the residents should expect, and also gives us some sense of the fiscal health of the community. I think you'll see, going to the latter piece first, we expect budget increases between 3.5 and 3.7%. Again, it's been a positive trend, somewhere between 3.5% and 4% over each of the last four fiscal years, which has allowed us not only to sustain programs, but in maybe incremental fashions, expand programs as well, which has been a real positive. Fairly long ago were the days that we were cutting, reducing staff, reducing services. We all have to feel generally good about that. I think that we're able to maintain, sustain, and grow our reserve, so that's very positive. Certainly, what you'll see in the beginning section is a summary of my interpretation of your priorities based upon our strategic planning meeting, which took place a couple of weeks ago. I'm here to accept any feedback as I interpret what you said and try to place that into the framework of goals for fiscal 17. So if you have any feedback for me, so I can revise this document if necessary, then tonight would be a good night to do that.
I went through it looking for things that may have been missed, and it's very comprehensive.
Yes, it
Andrew.
is.
I think it's, and I would suggest anybody that wants to just read those strategic objectives, they're very interesting. It's not,
I think the good thing about them, too, that they're, in my opinion, they're obtainable. That sometimes our goals are so lofty, but I think that they're
That's an excellent
obtainable.
point.
You know, in the near future, it might not be immediate, but I think that we can
they're
obtain it.
obtainable, and they'll serve the community well, too.
Yeah.
It's not like, we're going to pave this
Yeah, it's
sidewalk.
It's great to have
Excellent
goals, but if
point.
you don't have a shot at it, it's,
Right.
not that you wouldn't continue to try, but I think these are,
I think what we try to do with the document, which would be helpful for residents to read, is if you removed, so the way the document's constructed for folks who haven't seen it or may not read it is there's a framework that really gets produced or reproduced every year. It's a description or an outline of the major categories, things like community services and public safety. And then within that are the priorities set by the selectmen. So folks get to see the sort of broader categories that we think about, that the selectmen discuss in a strategic planning session, and then see specific action items within that category. We then take those action items, and if you look at, I know the selectmen is aware of this, so I apologize, I'm speaking maybe to the broader group of residents, but we take those specific goals identified by the Board of Selectmen, and those exist in one form or another in each of the goals that the departments have. So our 200-plus page operating budget includes a mission statement for every department, a statement of any significant changes within that department, personnel and headcount within each and every department, and then a set of goals which have to be, by definition, defined by specific date and measurable. And those goals that are in each department's budget, in one way or another, link back to the budget policy statement. So if we're talking about, sustaining our infrastructure, investing in our infrastructure, then you'll see that either in the capital plan or within specific aspects of the operating budget. For instance, within the facility operating budget, there'll be dollars to invest in our facilities. Within the DPW operating budget, there'll be dollars to invest in our parks and playgrounds. So this document helps drive the capital plan and the operating budget. So there's not a disconnect between those two. And ultimately, the funding requests we make back to the board in a couple of months, it'll go fast. Those funding requests link back to the goals, link back to the budget policy statement. And in the end, we should be able to draw a pretty straight line between what you folks have asked us to do and what we're trying to do on a daily basis.
Okay. Any other comments or?
so when will this be up on the website for people to see?
8 a.m.
Oh, okay.
tomorrow, that is.
Can't do any quicker than that.
8-ish,
That's great.
between 8 and 8:30.
Super. Well, Madam Chair, move that the Board of Selectmen approve the FY17 budget policy statement as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to move into licensing?
Madam Chair, I motion that we move into licensing.
All those in favor?
It's been a long delay.
It really was. I'm like,
worried.
we're not giving out any licenses tonight? All those in favor? Aye. We're now in licensing.
Okay. So first on the agenda for licensing is a change of manager for the Stevens Estate. We're changing from, sorry, I gotta go back, Erin to Gail. Gail was recently hired by the town to manage the Stevens Estate. I believe all of the paperwork is in order, and There were no issues found, so I would suggest that we move approval on this.
Just for clarity, Gail is the assistant director of the estate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, sorry.
It was the assistant
For
director, but
the, no, she's the
the-
function, sorry, function coordinator.
And who's the director?
Joanna.
Joanna.
Okay.
Why wouldn't Joanna? Oh, because Gail is functions. Okay, move approval.
Basically hires her, the board,
Who hires who?
the director of Stevens Estate.
No, not the board. I'm the appointing authority on the position.
Okay.
Yep, the board was involved in the process to hire.
Yeah, so I mean, they-
Yeah, the board participated. There are 2 members on the committee.
And I was recently at an event there, and I'll tell you, they both did a fantastic job.
I've heard good things.
And they've just invited the local businesses in
Yes.
for an open house. What I found even at the event that I was at, there were people who hadn't been to the Stevens Estate, but they did offer, by appointment only, tours to people who are interested in seeing the facility just for the sake of seeing it, which is, I thought was terrific as well, so.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Second up, we have 3 requests from Merrimack College for one-day wine and malt licenses for an AAS reception and a couple of performances at the Rogers Center.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. The one thing I would say is, reading through Lieutenant Gray's approval, he did request that a copy of the tip certificates be provided back, so I'm not sure how we can communicate that to them, whether or not we have updated tip certificates for them on file. Joyce recommended that they maintain the certification, and if they need to get back to us, or if we request them, they have them available. But I think that would probably be the best way to move forward.
Clerk's office and my office, we can reach out, make sure we get updated schedules.
Oh, Joyce is still here, sorry.
Yeah, she's
I
in here.
can't
She's
see her
hiding
over the
behind the
podium.
podium.
It's stated on the license paperwork they send over, it says copies of the receipts and copies of the tip certification every time they get a license.
Okay, great. That's good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the list, we have, I believe, two requests from Small Rock Farms. One for a all-day alcohol license for Sunday, October 25th, or this coming Sunday, from 11 to 5, with a rain date of November 1st. And a second one, for another all-day liquor license for Saturday, November 7th, from 5 to 10. Would you like to speak to them, or?
Actually, they're just, I don't know how you want to handle when it's a rain date. It's based on weather, so it's, they wanted to cover it in case it does rain Sunday, they're moving it forward.
This one is not under the tent then, or is it?
It is under the tent, but if it's really bad cold weather, not like November 1st is going to be any better, but as of, you never know.
Would actually dictate.
Well, last
a
November
change of
1st, we got
date.
a snowstorm, if I remember correctly, for the Pumpkin Fest, so.
So it's temperature more than.
Yes, I think
more than
that's what
stuff
it's,
falling from the
yes.
sky.
So they documented, they wanted to state that, so I just put it into the paperwork just to cover it, and that way I wouldn't have to run around and,
Well, we'd have to do them both because we don't have another meeting before November 1st.
okay, yeah, that's
So-
fine, whatever we need to do.
So we have
That's
to,
fine.
I guess, notate a rain date of November
Okay,
1st
all right,
as a
that's
secondary
fine.
date.
And the other one's just a surprise 40th, but it's a North Andover resident, so we're trying to keep it on the,
Down low?
Well,
Yes.
he's not watching.
without announcing it.
Oh, we didn't know, we didn't mention the name though,
No,
so.
we haven't even
No, I
named
saw that, you were very good, so.
Oh, that's right, this is a surprise. Okay, so, do I have a motion for these requests?
Move approval?
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor? And same with you, but you already know that the tip certificates
Yep, I'll actually
are
send over copies
requested.
tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
that would
that's
be
fine.
great, thank
Because we
you.
renew all the time, and I also have a new certificate of liability too, so we'll send that over too. Yeah,
Okay.
No big deal.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
All
very
set.
much.
Thanks for coming in again. So Laurie, can we somehow get a communication back to Merrimack and just make sure, or Sodexo, and make sure their certificates are up to date also?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, can I have a motion to move out of licensing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a 4 to
I was just asking the town manager.
That's okay. Just wanted to make sure I recorded your
Our
vote.
executive summary included something that was
Okay.
a little
So
bit.
we are now out of licensing and back to
Before you do
you.
that,
Oh, sorry.
Dick, I'm sorry. Can we just all double-check paperwork? We have 3 items listed for Merrimack licenses.
Yeah, the AIS on stages, on stages.
It's Saturday, October 24th on our executive summary, but there's no supporting information, nor is it included on our memorandum. So I just wanted to make sure
It's just,
we didn't run ahead if they needed this,
It's
because
on
we don't.
here.
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Here.
the
If you look
supporting
at-
documents, the actual license request for
Oh,
24.
yeah.
I just want to double-check to see what.
Oh, you're right, there's only the 2.
But I don't recall from the prior meeting if we already approved that. I felt like they were pretty on top of the ball the last
The
meeting.
1024 paperwork, this is the 1024 paperwork.
So then we're ready.
Page 86.
Yeah. I got 1022.
1024 is at Cassia Hall.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, I know exactly what
okay, so they, but,
It's the order of the
so that's
packet.
the, okay.
the
I
order.
just wanted to clarify.
You're right, no, it's the sheet happens to be not in the, it's just an order question. The form is there about 4 pages prior to the green sheet.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to make sure that they had the documents in, I mean,
Yep.
I don't think we see, it was all on our memorandum, we didn't have a debate one way or the other about it, but.
I just want to make sure that the application request is within the packet.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's on page 86. And it wouldn't get on the agenda without it. It wouldn't be
No.
placed on the agenda without that form being included.
It just was the ordering of the forms itself, the order.
Yeah, I thought I saw that
Page
today.
86.
Okay, so we are out of licensing. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, no old business, no new business. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Town managers report. Any asked the manager. I saw Bill Gordon last week. He gave no.
Didn't bring one with you?
I didn't bring anyone. Although I did see him last week. but-
Assuming I was asked the question of when the open house was for the fire station, it might be a good segue. I know we brought up in the past. First, let me comment, the fire station project has gone extremely well. The design of the project, the design firm, excellent. The owner's project manager, excellent. The construction company has been first public Massachusetts project that they've had. And I think they've used that to exemplify the quality of the work they can do. They've done a lot of work, but not Massachusetts public work. I think they're going to use the North Andover Fire Station as an example of the kind of work they can do. I think
That's
you'll see
great.
this company do a lot of business. Internally, we've had the benefit of Ray Santilli's experience and of skill in getting projects
And
done.
stewardship.
And the project is on schedule, will be open for our open house on November 7th, the same day, so you can help pick up around the lake, maybe for a couple of hours, and pop over to the fire station. That open house will be 9 to 11. The public is welcome. We're in the process of issuing an invitation of sorts, putting on the internet, getting the public there, getting the press there. Some of the selectmen are starting to receive their invitations. Your invitation might be slightly different than the general circulation of invitations. But we're looking forward to a really exciting day. We'll have a brief program. Selectman Watson will make some introductory remarks. We'll have a benediction of the facility, a raising of the flag. It's really a great opportunity. The building is phenomenal. It's in a great location, well-received by all of those who've been involved and have been in the area. So we're really looking forward to it. After the November 7th open house, on November 12th, the first formal shift of the group that'll be moving here from Town Hall will show up. Hopefully, they'll show up to the right spot, or at least we'll have to remind them to get them up the street on November 12th. So we're really looking forward to that. It's an exciting project. It is the next in a sequence of projects in the facility master plan, which has been a true success. We're opening 2 new public buildings in the same fiscal year, which is amazing. The first-notch buildings that represent the community well, so we're very excited about that.
It's great.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. It's
So
right.
you're inviting the neighbors, I presume?
The neighbors will be invited, yep,
Specifically.
specifically, yes, by name.
All prior.
But it's open to the public that morning.
It is,
right?
but certain ones I think we should.
Yeah,
get,
sure, of
course.
course.
abutting neighbors are being invited specifically.
Yeah, they should be.
Elected officials, local and state.
Local and state. dates.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we have the appropriate list of invited
Go
guests.
back a few years for elected officials. Kind of like what we
Heavenly Donuts, maybe.
Get it right out there.
You,
Let's cut to the chase. We have the,
you're funny.
come on, Ray.
First coffee cup gets spilled. Oh.
So
It's probably wise.
while we're sort of on a similar topic, again, we appreciate Ray's efforts on this project. He's been helping shepherd through these. It's great having Laurie here. The budget policy statement is an example of Laurie assisting, providing value beyond what I think the job description says, the skill that she brings to the table. We're broadening Laurie's skill set in terms of municipal activities. She's been off at school on Fridays to learn more about the really interesting stuff that we do every day. If not, she gets to hear from me every day about those interesting things. But she was heavily involved in the budget policy statement preparation. I think it's important for everybody who works here to really give us all the value they can. It's a good thing, and so we really appreciate Laurie's efforts in doing that.
Excellent.
That's all I have. Oh, I didn't know if you were going to make a
Your
motion.
I'm ready to make a motion if we're on motion.
Do we have a second?
Motion adjourned.
Does anybody else have anything?
No.
It's a quick meeting, okay. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is everybody?